Taylor Swift walked into her childhood home and realized her little sister had taken her room without ever asking. She hadn't planned this visit. No cameras, no calls, just a quiet trip back to Hendersonville. Taylor missed the silence, the smell of pine, the hallway that used to echo with music and arguments. She expected warmth, familiarity. But when the front door opened, it wasn't her mom's voice that greeted her. It was Lily's, sleepy-eyed, barefoot, and wearing one of Taylor's old hoodies. "You didn't text," Lily said. "I didn't think I needed to," Taylor replied, stepping past her. She moved slowly through the house. The layout was the same, but the feeling had changed. Her gold records, childhood photos, and handmade shelves were gone, replaced by beach pictures and scented candles. And then, at the end of the hallway, her old bedroom door. It was open. She pushed it. What stared back at her wasn't her past. It was Lily's present. New paint, new bedding, a vanity where her desk once sat. Taylor didn't speak. She just stood there, silently registering what had happened. Her sister hadn't just borrowed the space, she'd claimed it. And no one had thought to tell her. Taylor stepped into the room slowly, each footfall heavier than the last. The soft hum of a diffuser filled the air, lavender, not cedar, like she used to love. The desk where she wrote her first album was gone, replaced by a white vanity lined with makeup. A Bluetooth speaker played soft indie pop. It was Lily's room now. The posters, the photos, the bed, even the bookshelf she'd painted with her dad. It had all vanished without a trace. Only the shape of the room remained, like a ghost of who she used to be. She turned toward the door as Lily lingered in the hallway. "I moved in a few months ago," Lily said, her tone casual. "Mom and Dad said it was okay." Taylor tried to swallow the lump in her throat. "Did they say why?" Lily shrugged. "You weren't using it." Taylor looked back at the room. The silence said more than either of them could. This wasn't just a room. It was the only place Taylor had ever truly called hers. The walls had once echoed her dreams, her heartbreak, her voice, and now they held someone else's story. But Lily wasn't the only one keeping a secret. Taylor had one too. Taylor left the room without a word. Her feet knew the way down the hallway, even if her heart didn't. The floor creaked the same under the third step, like it always had. But everything else felt unfamiliar. The photos on the walls were different. No music awards, no childhood snapshots, just Lily and their parents. Without her. In the kitchen, the light was warm. Her mom was stirring a pot of soup like nothing had changed. Her dad sat reading a local paper, glasses low on his nose. "Taylor," Andrea said, startled but smiling. "We didn't know you were coming." Taylor managed a polite nod. "Didn't think I needed an invitation." Her father looked up. "Everything okay?" Taylor glanced at the hallway, then back. "You let Lily take my room." Scott set down his mug. "You're never here, Tay. We didn't think I'd care." Andrea spoke more softly. "You've got homes all over the world." Taylor took a breath. "This one's mine too," she said. "In fact, it's legally mine." They both froze. "What?" her father asked. Taylor stepped forward. "I paid off the mortgage 2 years ago, quietly, through a holding company." Andrea's lips parted, stunned. "You didn't lose this house because of the bank," Taylor said. "You lost it to me." Andrea's hand trembled as she set down the spoon. The soft clink of metal on ceramic echoed louder than it should have. "You bought the house?" she asked, barely above a whisper. Taylor nodded. 2 years ago. You were months behind on the mortgage. I found the paperwork by accident. I didn't want to embarrass you, so I handled it quietly." Scott stood, his jaw clenched. "You should have told us." "Would you have let me?" Taylor asked, steady but not cold. No one answered. "I didn't want you worrying. I thought, if the house stayed in the family, that's all that mattered." Andrea pulled out a chair and sank into it. "You thought we couldn't handle our own lives?" Taylor's eyes softened. "I thought you needed help. And I thought that helping silently was better than watching you lose everything." Lily appeared at the hallway's edge again, listening. Taylor's voice dropped. "I didn't expect gratitude, but I didn't expect to come back and feel like a stranger either." Scott finally spoke. "We didn't erase you. We just assumed you'd moved on." Taylor looked around. "You didn't just move on. You replaced me." And for the first time, everyone in the room realized this wasn't about a room. It was about being forgotten. Later that night, while the house settled into uneasy silence, Taylor climbed the creaky attic stairs. She hadn't been up here in over a decade. The air was cold, the boxes dusty, but the past was intact. She found it in the far corner, a battered cardboard box labeled in faded Sharpie, Tay Songs. Kneeling beside it, she lifted the lid and was instantly hit by a wave of old paper, ink, and memory. There were notebooks stuffed with half-written lyrics, burned CDs in cracked jewel cases, and cassette tapes labeled things like Heartbreak No. 2 and Thanksgiving Song 2005. She laughed softly at one labeled, For Mom, Do Not Open. At the bottom of the pile, she found a CD with a yellow post-it still stuck to it. You're gonna be huge someday, baby. Mom. Taylor froze. Back then, everything had felt possible. Back when her dreams fit inside a song. And her biggest fear was a missed note, not a missed connection. She placed a few of the tapes and CDs into her bag. Carefully, almost reverently. These weren't trophies. They were pieces of her she thought had been lost in stadium lights and headlines. And now, as she stood in that attic, she realized maybe home wasn't gone. Maybe it just needed to be remembered. The next morning, Taylor found her mom alone in the kitchen, staring out the window with a cold mug in her hands. The same mug Taylor had given her years ago, faded now but still standing. She sat down across from her. No words at first, just quiet. Andrea finally spoke. We didn't know how to tell you we were struggling. Taylor nodded slowly. So you didn't. Andrea looked at her. You were always so far ahead, baby, and we were just here. We thought if we asked for help, we'd lose what little connection we still had. You didn't need to ask, Taylor said. I already knew. That's why I did it, to protect this place, to protect you. Andrea's eyes brimmed. But when you didn't come home, we thought maybe you didn't want to anymore. Taylor's voice trembled. I didn't know how. Andrea reached across the table, gently taking her daughter's hand. You were always chasing something. Music, meaning, maybe even love. I didn't want to be another person pulling at you. You weren't pulling, Taylor whispered. You were the reason I started running in the first place. And in that fragile moment, with old coffee and older guilt between them, something long broken began to mend. Later that afternoon, Taylor stepped outside for air. Her father was fixing a loose plank on the fence, hands steady, movements familiar. She approached quietly, but he spoke before she could. Do you remember Lily's 18th birthday? Taylor paused. I missed it. Scott nodded. You didn't just miss it. You sent a signed poster, through your assistant. Taylor winced. I thought I sent more. She cried, he said. Not because of the gift, because you didn't call. Taylor looked away. I was on tour. I didn't realize it mattered that much. She doesn't say it, Scott added, but she still looks at that poster like she's trying to understand why you felt so far away. Taylor sat down on the porch steps. I didn't know how to be close anymore. I didn't want to show up and turn every visit into a photo op. You never needed to bring the world with you, he said. You just needed to bring yourself. Taylor swallowed hard. I thought if I kept giving, it would make up for the distance. Scott looked at her for a long time. You gave us a house, Taylor, but what we needed was a daughter. The sun was beginning to set when Taylor found Lily on the porch swing, hugging her knees to her chest. She didn't say anything as Taylor sat down beside her. For a moment, all they heard was the creak of the chain and the distant sound of wind chimes. I didn't mean to take your room, Lily finally said. Eyes fixed on the horizon, Taylor shook her head. It's not about the room. Then what? It's about everything that was in it, Taylor said. My songs, my first guitar, my silence after every fight. That space held every version of me. Lily was quiet. I just wanted a space of my own, she admitted. Everything here always screamed your name. Every friend that came over asked about you, every teacher, every neighbor. You felt invisible, Taylor said softly. Lily nodded. I wasn't trying to erase you. I just needed to feel like I mattered, too. Taylor turned toward her. You do, Lily blinked. I don't want to be you. I know, Taylor said. You're not supposed to be. She reached into her pocket and handed Lily a folded note. I left this in the nightstand. Lily opened it. One sentence. Make new memories here. You don't have to be me. The next evening, the house was calm. No tension, no arguing. Just the low hum of the heater and the soft ticking of the wall clock. Taylor wandered into the living room, where the old upright piano still stood, tucked into the corner beneath the window. It was scratched, a little off-key, but still hers. She sat down without saying a word. Her fingers hesitated for just a moment, then began to play. The notes were slow, familiar, haunting. Lily entered first, silently sitting on the floor. Scott and Andrea followed, leaning against the doorway. Taylor sang softly. It wasn't a hit. It wasn't rehearsed. It was an old melody she'd written when she was 15, about home, family, burnt sweet potatoes, and finding comfort in chaos. But now the lyrics were older, sadder, wiser. She sang about distance, about missing things you didn't know you'd lose, about coming home and not recognizing the walls, but remembering the love they once held. When she finished, no one clapped. They didn't have to. Lily looked up, voice trembling. "Is that the Thanksgiving song?" Taylor nodded. "I never finished it," Lily whispered. "You just did." And in that quiet living room, full of memories and mismatched furniture, they didn't just hear her music, they heard her. The next morning, Taylor rose early, walking the halls before anyone else stirred. This time, she didn't avoid the corners, she sought them out. She ran her fingers along the hallway trim where she had once carved her initials, stopped at the stairwell window where she used to sit at night, notebook in hand, writing lyrics by flashlight when the rest of the house had gone dark. In the dining room, she paused beside the table. Her initials were still faintly etched beneath where she used to sit. She smiled. She wasn't here to reclaim the past. She was here to lay it down gently. Back in Lily's room, Taylor opened the nightstand drawer. The note she'd written was still there, unfolded now, sitting beside Lily's journal. But she had one more thing to leave. From her tote bag, she pulled out a burned CD. Thanksgiving Song, Original Demo. She wrote one word on the back in silver Sharpie. Ours. She set it on the desk, then stepped out, leaving the door open behind her. For the first time since arriving, she didn't feel like a guest. She didn't feel replaced. She felt like someone who had finally made peace with the place that built her, and it no longer needed to be hers alone. Later that day, Taylor sat with her parents at the kitchen table, the same table where they used to eat cinnamon rolls on Sundays and play cards on rainy nights. She slid a folder across to them. "What's this?" Andrea asked, hesitating. "Deed transfer," Taylor said. "The house, it's yours again, fully. No mortgage, no hidden LLC, just your name's on the title." Scott looked stunned. "You're giving it back?" Taylor nodded. "I didn't buy it to own it. I bought it so no one else would." Andrea's eyes filled with tears. "But it was yours?" "It is," Taylor said softly, "but not in the way you think. This house holds pieces of me, of all of us, but I don't need a document to belong here." Scott opened the folder slowly. The weight of what she was giving back settled between them, not in dollars, but in trust. Andrea reached across the table and held Taylor's hand. "I thought we lost you," she whispered. "You didn't," Taylor replied. "You just stopped looking in the right places." The tension that had hung in the air for days finally cracked, replaced by something warmer. Not closure, but forgiveness. And this time, the silence that followed was full of understanding. A week later, back in Los Angeles, Taylor sat alone in the recording studio, her team in the next room, waiting for her next move. But she wasn't ready to record anything new. Not yet. She reached into her bag and pulled out the CD she'd left a copy of in Lily's room. Thanksgiving Song, Original Demo. The handwritten label made her smile. The old recording was rough, off-key, recorded with a dollar store mic. But it held a truth she'd almost forgotten. She waved to the sound engineer. "Can we load this in?" He blinked. "We're using that?" Taylor nodded. "I want to build something around it, not polish it. Just let it breathe." The CD spun. Her teenage voice filled the studio. Innocent, unfiltered, singing about burnt sweet potatoes and messy family dinners. Taylor closed her eyes. Then she began writing new verses in her notebook, lyrics about distance, regret, the quiet love that survives years of silence, the kind of forgiveness that lives in the pause between notes. She wasn't just reworking an old melody. She was stitching the girl she was to the woman she'd become. And for the first time in a long while, Taylor didn't feel like she was writing for an audience. She was writing for home. 2 nights later, Taylor sat by her apartment window, Los Angeles lights stretching endlessly below her. Her phone buzzed. A voicemail. Andrea. She hesitated, then pressed play. "Hey, sweetheart," her mom's voice began, soft and shaky. "We listened to the new version of the song tonight. The one with your young voice and the new verses." A pause. I couldn't stop crying. Taylor stared out at the skyline, her reflection faint in the glass. "Your dad's been humming it for the last hour. Lily's obsessed. She said it's the first time she ever really heard what home sounded like to you." Another breath. "I think we all stopped listening at some point. We thought we lost you to something bigger, but it turns out we just weren't looking in the right places." Taylor's throat tightened. "You brought us back together, Taylor. Not with a house, not with a song. Just by showing up fully, then gently. Come home for Christmas. No cameras, no headlines. Just us. And that sticky old piano." The message ended with a tiny laugh. Taylor didn't move, didn't speak, but she played the song again, just for herself. And in that moment, under city lights far from Tennessee, she realized the sound of being loved never really fades. Christmas morning came with frost on the windows and cinnamon rolls in the oven, just like it used to. But this year there were no red carpets, no tour buses idling outside. Just slippers on hardwood floors and sleepy smiles. Taylor wore flannel pajamas, no makeup, hair tied back. Lily was already downstairs, wrapped in a blanket, half asleep on the couch. Scott adjusted the tripod for a family photo, muttering about how no one knows how to center a frame anymore. Andrea brought over cocoa and kissed Taylor's forehead like she was still 16. "You look happy," she said. "I am," Taylor replied, and meant it. After breakfast, they all gathered around the piano. Taylor played the opening chords of the Thanksgiving song, soft and slow. She looked over at Lily. "Sing the bridge with me?" Lily's eyes widened. Then she nodded. Their voices blended, rough in places, uncertain, but beautiful. The lyrics spoke of burnt dinners, missed calls, and the kind of love that can get lost but never dies. And when they finished, no one clapped, because they didn't need to. Taylor looked around the room. No lights, no stage. But somehow this moment shone brighter than any spotlight she'd ever stood under. She wasn't performing. She was finally home. Weeks later, Taylor stood backstage at a sold-out arena in Tokyo. The crowd was deafening, 50,000 people chanting her name. Lights flashed. Her team scrambled around her, fine-tuning every detail. But she was somewhere else in her mind. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small, creased envelope. Inside was a copy of the note she'd left in Lily's drawer. "You don't have to be me." She smiled softly, then handed the envelope to a stagehand. "Ship this to Hendersonville," she said. "Put it on the piano." The stage manager gave her the signal. Taylor stepped into the spotlight. The crowd expected a hit. Instead, she motioned to the pianist. A soft, familiar melody began to play, the Thanksgiving song. No fireworks, no backup dancers. Just her. She told the audience, "I wrote this song when I was 15 and just finished it this year. It's about what I almost lost and what I found again." As she sang, her voice cracked in places, but she didn't hide it. She let it stay broken. And somewhere in Tennessee, her family watched the live stream. Andrea held Scott's hand. Lily whispered every word. because in that moment, Taylor wasn't just a global icon. She was a daughter, a sister, a voice that had finally found its way home.